Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, and we are going to specifically talk about religion and the smiles of a dog. All right, let's get into this. So I love Dungeons & Dragons so much, right? Because one of the powerful things about it is it is a double-sided mirror, right? When we turn the game on, it reflects back to us a fantasy world, okay? And when we're at the table, we're seeing our player characters and we're seeing the non-player characters of the dungeon master, and we're seeing the choices we make for our player character, right? But as soon as the game is over, the Dungeons & Dragons doesn't stop when the game is over. All that happens is that the double-sided mirror flips, right? And what Dungeons and Dragons reflects back to us when the dice rolling is done and we've put away our books and it's Monday morning, not Sunday evening when we're playing, right? What it reflects back to us is our IRL choices. And are we being heroic? Are we exploring? Are we interacting? Are we combating, right? And so one of the things is I study a lot of IRL content to be a better dungeon master and to understand Dungeons & Dragons better. But sometimes Dungeons & Dragons swings around and shows me the meaning of an IRL thing I could not understand. All right, so I'm a huge music fan. My favorites are like Dua Lipa right now, Post Malone. I was a big rap fan for a long time. I'm not seeing a lot in rap that's really, captured my heart today. It did for a long time. I was a huge fan of DMX. I was a huge fan of Mos Def, right? But one of the people I was a fan of was Edie Brickell. I thought Edie Brickell and the New Bohemians, they have a song called What I Am Is What I Am, right? It's called What I Am. And there's a line in it that says, religion is a smile on a dog. Now, I think Edie Brickell is a brilliant person. Like, you listen to her music and you're like, there's a lot here. She has some stuff to say, right? And when she said, religion is a smile on a dog, I was like, what does that mean? And for I think that song's about 20 years old, right? I never understood it. I was like, I have no idea what it means to say religion is a smile on a dog. But Dungeons & Dragons helped me understand it. So in Dungeons & Dragons, you have clerics, and they get their power from two sources. One of the sources of the power of a cleric is their god, okay? So if you are a Faerun cleric and you worship Shantu, the neutral good goddess of agriculture, right? So basically, you specifically, take yourself in and you go into a village, right? And the farmers are like, hey, we're the villagers here. And we haven't had any crops for all our crops are gone. We're gone last year, and now we're all hungry because there were no crops last year. Is your god the god Shantu, the god of agriculture? Because you have your holy symbol on it, and you're like, yes, it is. And they're like, can you pray to your god for us so that we can eat, right? And you're like, yes, I can. Right? I'm going to pray to Shantu, the goddess of agriculture, that your village will be blessed and that crops will grow. And they're like, thank you so much, right? And then you as a cleric, you're like, hey, I've been serving you and, spouting your name every village I go to and healing the blind and the deaf and the feebled, right? Like lesser restoration, unless you get rid of all those conditions, right? And you do this every village you go to, and you're like, and I've been healing, people who are wounded and my own compatriots. I'm devoted to you, Shantu, goddess of agriculture. Help these people. And, I pray to you, let their crops grow, right? Now in Dungeons & Dragons, this ain't this isn't an abstract arcane idea. This isn't an abstract idea. The god's like, yeah, done. And you're like, thanks, Shantu. Thanks for being a god and use your god powers to make sure these people can eat next year, right? And while in our world, there's a question on whether, we have to accept God by faith. There's no accepting the gods by faith in Dungeons & Dragons. They're right there. It's literally, they're there, right? Until you got to 5th edition clerics, right? And Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition is like, hey, we know a bunch of you are secular out there, and we have this entire part of our game where you have to heal people. And if you ain't got a cleric in your group, you're going to have a hard time playing this game, right? So they're like, what do we do with these people who don't want to pray to a god, but we need them to continue to heal people, right? And they said, we know what we can do. They can dedicate themselves to a concept, right? So their understanding of goodness is enough. So you could be a cleric and just dedicate yourself to the vague concept of goodness, right? And you're like, what? How? Like, so same cleric, so same village, and a cleric goes in and they go, what's that symbol on your chest? And they're like, well, I'm a cleric. I heal people all the time, and I heal the blind and the deaf and the feeble because I have lesser restoration and can get rid of those conditions. But it all comes from my vague understanding of goodness. And so you'll be healed by my personal understanding of the concept of goodness. And you're like, what? Like, wait, and they're like, and then they're like, do we ask this person for help with agricultural, with our wheat growing? Or do we just say, this person, how can they do anything? Like, how is anything going to happen from your vague idea of goodness? Like, religion is a smile on a dog. So let's get into it. What's actually happening with non-deity based clerics in Dungeons and Dragons? It's actually pretty deep, okay? Here's what's actually happening, okay? It's fascinating, okay? So when the villagers say, hey, make our wheat grow so we don't all starve next year, right? The cleric who is dedicated to Shantu is saying, oh yeah, I got you covered. No problem, man. My God is powerful, right? It'll work. You're gonna be fine, right? And then a god makes the wheat grow, right? And that is religion, because God is God, okay? God is God. And this is the kicker, right? When you go to establish a new source for how the wheat will grow, right? Everybody knows your vague concept of goodness is not going to make wheat grow, right? So what does make wheat grow? And what Dungeons and Dragons is actually saying is, no, it's not there are missing gods, it's that the cleric is God, right? What a non-deity is saying is, I will make your wheat grow. I am God, right? It's not a misplaced, it's not some, everybody knows some vague concept of goodness is not going to make wheat grow, right? Real God powers will, right? That's been established since 1974, right? We all know that. But no one today believes that, like, your vague concept of goodness is going to make wheat grow. But they're not asking you to believe that. The D&D, the new 5th edition non-deity clerics, dedicated to domains or concepts, there's something real there. They're saying this cleric is the god. That's huge. That is, and it's the same thing Edie Brickell is saying. She's like, I'm an evangelical Christian. I say Jesus Christ is God, right? And he can give you salvation. Edie Brickell is saying, no, religion is the smile on a dog. What she's saying is, I choose what saves. I am God, right? So me, J. Scott Garibay, God is God, Holy Spirit is God, Jesus Christ is God, Trinity one, God is God, right? Edie Brickell and the Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition designers are saying, you are God. Your vague concept of goodness isn't going to do anything, but you are now in the place of God. Same way Edie Brickell is saying, I am God. I choose what saves. And I say it's the smile on a dog, right? I'm saying I don't think that's a good idea, right? But I never understood what Edie Brickell was saying. When Edie Brickell says religion is the smile on a dog, she's saying, I'm God. I am God, right? And that's what non-deity clerics are saying. They're saying this player character is the god. The source that will make the wheat grow is the cleric themselves. Believe it or not, that's more religious than if you thought that the gods were gods. That's deep, right? Like, and honestly, I think they're wrong, But boy, is that a swing. Like, that is like, they're not saying there is a, they're Edie Brickell and Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition designers are not saying God's out of the picture. They're saying the player character is the God, and Edie Brickell was saying, I am God. And I never understood her song. I think she's wrong. But now I understand it because I've seen this very, very, like, forced. Like, I was always wondering, why do I think that these non-deity characters are so weak and so, like, just not effective? Because I can't really believe that these player characters that, you know, at level 1 have within them the ability to heal. I don't believe it. That's my opinion. What do you think? Do you agree that Edie Brickell was saying, I am God, and every player character who is not dedicated to a deity is saying, me, the player character, this character, I'm going to make your wheat grow? That's what they're really saying, right? Because some vague concept of goodness ain't going to make wheat grow. Like, I think we all understand that. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing. Have a wonderful millennium.